Oh, I can't see what I'm seeing there. Yeah, let's see. I can do that better. Yeah, I have to look straight ahead because I'm driving home from work. So, my title was When We Don't Know That We Could Be Wrong. When I don't know that I could be wrong, which can apply to a lot of things. Because the truth is, right and wrong are degrees, I believe. So, so I've got some examples of that came together, and it had to do with a part of something Doe said in session 5 of the Beyond Human series about what if Jesus didn't die on the cross and rise from the dead? Would that negate entire Christianity, negate Christianity? Well, that's what Paul of Tarsus said happened. You can see it in 1 Corinthians 15:12. That if he didn't die from the dead and all that, in resurrection, there was no promise of life after death. And so, therefore, uh, there was nothing to believe in. Maybe that's not the best way to try to express it, but um, and I believe it's all about belief. And when we go after our belief in a way that we formulate opinions, of course, which we all do, I bet. Um, we shape the narrative. We shape our own narrative, and then when we express it, of course, we're further shaping the narrative. And that's why, and because we know that we could be wrong about everything but nothing. I mean, very little. There's degrees. It's tiny degrees of things. We don't know how to measure the degrees of right and wrong because it's relative to the next level's program. What kind of program they're installing for us to use as our basis of evolving from. And evolution can be speeded up, I believe, by our desire to know more, to be connected to whatever created this place and the life forms on it. Anyway, getting philosophical here, but uh, which you know, but this is an example of what Paul says in First Corinthians. I'm not going to read it right now because I'm in the car. I can't really do it justice. But 12:18, you can see that uh, Paul is contradicting Jesus. Now I didn't do the research, did I? Of something Jesus said. Yeah, you're gonna have to forgive me that I didn't get to that. I don't think, did I? 'Cause I did it a while ago. Let me think if I can think of something. Well, what Doe says in session, because it's not justified by Jesus, what Jesus said. Right now is not that place in the mindset and the mind growth and the mind awareness uh, that is working with us with currently what we need. And they're just waiting for us to ask for it. And of course, they is, in my opinion, uh, best represented by T and Do and their students. And because they weren't just students anymore, they were actually capable of being a serving in an older member capacity in the human kingdom. So it's altogether possible that somebody who graduated with T and Do and crew could come back at some point in a number of ways, in a lot of different ways that we're not even aware of, which is the rule, actually, I believe, because there's laboratories that are working on this. How to cultivate animals into members of the next level through the human kingdom, through the beings that are more evolved than animals. You know, it's I'm not going to get into all the influences that play on my head all the time. Well, not all the time, but because I want to get on to more of this, what those said in Beyond Human. I tried to highlight a section of it. I might just have to stop and read that little part. So, okay, so this shows how the lower forces work. Does that mean everything Paul said was bad? No, not at all. He he served. I believe he had service for the next level, but he got a bunch of things wrong, and he didn't know it. He hadn't learned the "I could be wrong" lesson, because in order to learn that lesson, I don't think there's any other way to do it except for, well, experience, of course, right? Things that, you know, worked or didn't work. Though all experiences can lead to the same destination when they're converted into um, turning into Tiando's mind, trusting them. It looks like I haven't missed any turns. Amazingly, when we don't know, we could be wrong. No, I want 275 east. Okay. Anyway, Doe said this: if he didn't die on the cross, I mean dead, so that my present doctor would have said, he is dead, dead, dead. And then he came back to life and rose, and here he was. If that didn't happen, I gotta finish. I gotta pull over and finish that big spot here. If that didn't happen, then all that was a lie. I say you don't know what he was all about. You don't know the truth that he had to offer. You don't know his purpose in being here. Because that illustration and relatively very little significance to his purpose here. His purpose was, as he told his disciples, go teach about the truth. Give out the good news about the kingdom of heaven. It's at hand. In other words, you get to the kingdom of heaven if you follow me. So you can believe it and not be following him, I guess. But I mean, there might be something said for belief alone, because the next level doesn't waste anything. Anyway, I believe Tiendo talked about. I mean, I remember I heard it recently on tapes that Kathy and I listened to. So get the word out. See, that's what Tiendo said to do: disseminate the information. I mean, it's the same. It's tell people the good news. And how you do it, of course, is, huge. And asking their help on how to do it is huge. Because that means you really want to know. And you're not afraid that you're going to be sacrificing too much of yourself. This is, I guess, something that, for me, I don't know, I throw together words for, right? But well, it's just, it's, wait a minute, I don't want to go there. Okay. So, I'm going to go over here. Okay, I'm on track. And it's a subject that I have to bring up is I don't like I really don't like being critical of something. I'm not getting off on it. It's not floating my boat to talk about Mark and Sarah in a way that puts them in what some could see as a bad light. But uh, trying to apply what I mean. Uh, but for my older member, I have to bring it up in honor of the truth, in honor of what our best capability is of knowing what they taught in their material, and an in-depth knowledge of it, I believe, is necessary. And that can be found from the audio tapes. And that's why the audio tapes are being kept away from us. So I'd like to see a movement of get the audio tapes back. Maybe we should do a GoFundMe. And so, um, and so the example that I have of this subject of not knowing when you could be wrong. Sample. That's a stupid word for it. But it's an example. Okay. Uh, is that when Kathy and I were just a brief history. When Kathy and I met, one of the first and got together, one of the first times I fell in love, and like, wow. So we were on, headed to California to find out what was in the Breyer case, or the other case, for that matter. Anyway, and so Kathy had been emailing with Mark and Sarah, um, and and they decided to have a meeting, and so we went to Phoenix and had the meeting, and we knew there could be something shady happening. I mean, that I interpret as shady, and so we left our everything that we owned in the car except for our keys, and I think our ID. I don't know if we kept that because I don't know, because we we felt like it was possible that we could be arrested or something. Because we were meeting at the lawyer's office, at Mark and Sarah's lawyer's office. And the lawyer was present. Anyway, but so during that time that Kathy and I were sitting with Mark and Sarah and their lawyer, Um, we brought up the tape 149 and the times that uh, oh darn, I went a mile out of my way. I guess auto navigate isn't working very well. But okay, I have to turn around. Gotta pay attention more for a minute here. But no but the button. No buts. 'Cause I don't want to be distracted right now. Okay. Oh, let's see. There's a gas station there. I kind of need a gas station. Well, no, I think I'll be okay. Go to my regular squeeze. Thinking out loud because I'm on the live stream. I think. Yeah. Seems to be still ticking. Okay. So, oh, I didn't advertise this, did I? That's okay. I can always post it later. But, okay, I gotta make this turn, and then I'll be back on track. Okay, I'm on track for my destination. I got about 25 minutes or so. So I guess I got to get into the example again. I mean, not again, but in more depth. Um, because when we were at the meeting at the lawyer's office, we asked, what they thought about what the tape, audio tape 149, what it meant in terms of expressing that they expected the tapes to be uh, listened to by a lot of people for a long time, and that it could provide like fertilizer preparation for that spirit, that mind. Mind is a better word. The spirit, I think, because it makes we're more objective about it instead of thinking of it as the highfalutin spirit, which spirit is highfalutin. Okay, but uh, we don't really. Well, I don't know what other people. I don't. I guess only speak for myself. Uh, being highfalutin is, you know, okay. I'm sorry for that pause, but I was thinking about something. So anyway, okay, back to the lawyer's office, asking that question of Mark and Sarah, what they thought of 149. Sarah responded, and Kathy and I remember that she said something to the effect of, uh, the exit didn't happen that way, the way that Doe was also talking about it. T and Doe were talking about it in that tape of being seen by the media, big time, leaving, actually watching, individuals walking on board a spacecraft, however that might happen, visually. It sure would be giving a dose of reality to a lot of people to see that. But that's not what the next level chose to do. Except they did, actually, but only if we can perceive it, I think. Though it can be beneficial for everybody, I imagine. Uh, it also separates um, the wheat from the chaff, is the way it was said in Scripture. The records. Doe would usually say the records because that's what they are. Scripture puts it in this frame of mind that it's holy, and it is, of course. Um, but then it gets mutated. Maybe that's one way of seeing it. Um, with the self that changes it into something else that it's not. The opposite of, actually. When a person, I think, uh, can get overcome, I imagine, with thinking that in this circumstance, if Tiendo were in this circumstance, um, to where their security was threatened, uh, um, they would sue somebody to stop them. Now, that's what I believe uh, Mark said to us directly. Kathy is my witness. And having this frame of mind that um, well, the frame of mind that they're talking about, I believe, in the security aspect, is that understandably, by me, I believe I understand it, I see it, that they took on a big chore, a big task, a huge task. They may have grown leaps and bounds from this experience, and the next level might, the same for me, the same for any of us. We're measured by what we've been given. There's more, like Jesus said, the more you get, the more is expected of you. See, uh, that shows that's the next level that's working in this. They raise the bar. They keep on raising the bar. And so if you don't know what the bar is of giving your all, what that means, then well, you just don't have the truth um, in your capacity to see it. I think at that point, and that can change, of course, for anybody at any time, uh, to where they can see far more than uh, I think I can see. If I'm going to compare it with what people can see, because I can only see really what my older members gave me to see. They give us our overcoming. They give us our opportunities. They give us the help when we need the help. And we can ask and ask and ask. And if we don't get an answer, it's because we're not asking the right thing. Oh boy. Oh, I do need to get gas. No, I want to go to my own little place. I think I'm gonna get right there now. So I don't know if I ended the program, the feed or not. Drop frames. Oh, it's still going, I guess. So good, because there's more. Okay, back on track. That does said at the end of that tape 149, um, that he wasn't saying that what they were saying, what they were talking about as happening, was accurate, would be accurate. I don't know if he used, maybe he didn't use the word accurate. I need to go look at it again, refresh my mind on it. If anybody finds that, but so in other words, that was one way it could happen. That it could have happened that way, to where everybody in the world, I guess, would have access to the footage of the event of their departure. And we carried around a camera for years and years and years. I mean, from they had it before I think from before when I was in the group. I don't know. Somebody gave them a camera and said, "Would you film your exit?" And so look at how their exit was filmed. And and our position against suicide was prevalent in the book, as seen on the heavensgate.com website. But what Mark and Sarah said through their lawyers was the reason why we needed to be restrained from playing audio tapes or anything else. Sorry, I just uh, lost my train of thought. It has been a long day, night of working, so I can give myself an excuse. But I'm going to bring it back, though. I'm going to bring it back because um, I'm talking about the meeting uh, where where Sarah um, I shouldn't say but to me, I guess, dismissed the I could be wrong part of our growth lessons, which started with T. I could be wrong. So, it's in tape 149 is like three spots that I'll put the text somewhere. Oh, I know what I might do with it. Okay. Well, what I was getting to was what Mark and Sarah said in the um, preliminary injunction motions against Kathy Carlodi and myself. To Kathy was to punish her, I think, because she used vulgar terminology talking to them. I don't know, something like that, maybe. I don't know for sure, of course. Uh, um, so, uh, so while I'm at it, uh, I'd like to ask Matt what his interpretation of apocalyptic is. Because when he began to describe uh, what the group believed, he started with that they were apocalyptic. I know what that means, what people think it means, but I guess my criticism of that is um, that if you're, a researcher, find out what they said, use their words, and quote them on what they were about. And yeah, you can't say it in a couple of words, but it's meant to be that way because there's a bunch of facets to next level communication. And you don't see them all at once unless you revisit it. I mean, reading the material one time, I'm not saying it doesn't have its value, but that doesn't make you an expert putting yourself, into. But what the heck? It doesn't, matter to me. But you're gonna, if I hope, Matt, that you'll um, allow me to comment. I don't know why you wouldn't, even if it's critical of yourself. But it doesn't mean I'm right. I could be wrong. I don't know what Joe would say in a circumstance. Except I know what I feel is that, um, uh, well, this is what happens to the information because we're all influenced by the lower forces. We all are. I think without question. I mean, I don't know. Of course, the next level could have minds and vehicles that just don't tune into lower forces. But even the trees respond to the lower forces. According to T, she said that the oak trees and they weren't supposed to grow all crooked like that. Like they're he knew a lot of things, so many things that Doe fought. Well, I don't know how many things he fought. And you'll hear him talking about it in the audio tapes. Uh, to portray him as being taken over by T, I guess. Is that what they were saying in that one documentary thing? ABC one, maybe? Because he had this death complex, that, they would say, because of the bridge. I mean, each of us in our own way uh, have probably been formatted, um, well, I think are in the process of building an next level mind. And how that get saved for a future opportunity or is given another opportunity because they've accelerated their growth by giving their all. Giving your all is a process, but it has the intention of giving your all, I think. Um, that is beneficial, I think, to have because of how it can permeate into the spirit world, to the world of discarnates, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, even though ghosts might be something different, like a hologram. Like Tiano said, Fatima was hologram. Oh, I'm home. Well, I hope I made the points that I wanted to cover in a way that can be of some value to you all. So, well, no, there's more, a little bit more, because, Mark and Sarah talked to us about at that meeting also that it was because of thirst that individuals needed to have more thirst to have the material because it's so hard to digest. And they wrote that in there, and that might, uh, and they quoted something that I still haven't seen, I don't think, about people dying because of the information that the world would hear. That was another way that I think we did find that, and we should actually talk about that a little more. Because the dying part is the way that some of what's planted becomes waste. And that's the system. And so so influencers will come in and say, well, if they're so good, why is there waste? If they're all knowing, then they should know how to not have any waste. That everybody could be treated equally by the next level, but everybody isn't treated equally by the next level. Everybody is treated uh, the same equally, I believe, um, by being given next level information. Um, but it comes in the mind as well as being translated into words. So the next level is actually cultivating the mindset of the new creatures that they're biologically growing. And it's not a bad thing, because life is a miracle. That we have the choice to um, uh, show the next level our beliefs, I guess. That's one way of looking at it. That's the way it works. That what we do, of course, then shows them what we believe in and what we, well, as those said, share the information with others. That's the task. And that's what I've been saying all along, and Junodi talked about in Away Team from Deep Space Services Before Departure. See, Doe gave the task of working with new ones to students instead of doing that task directly with them. And that's how they become fathers and grandfathers, and, older member to the chief of chiefs, which is something that we are incapable of understanding where the chief of chiefs came from until we actually become members of the next level. And I'm not there, that's for sure. And to think that we're there already, because in the oneness idea of that we already are a God. And so the only thing that separates us from being that God is not admitting to it, not expressing it, and, well, the idea is leading others to that same mindset. And what that does is it makes it so that you don't have to do anything to earn that Godship, that becoming a member of the next level. That's what the lower forces do. They twist it and they decide, and then when it leaks, and the next level makes leaks that they can't really put out. No, they can't put it out. I mean, even if we don't get those 100 tapes, somebody will get them. If they say they're storing them. So, when they lose their vehicles, who's going to be the instrument of, look at this guy. This big truck with these tractors on it was almost hitting the other truck in front of him as he's passing him. Yeah, you need some sleep, man, or woman, or person, or or it, or so everybody is, according to Doe in USA Today, if I understand it correctly, if I remember correctly, that everybody gets what they believe. They get the heaven. He even used the word heaven, which was interesting, because you get the heaven that you think that you understand heaven to be, and that understanding goes beyond words. It's it comes with recognition, I think, that uh, would be common to the members of the next level's thinking. The Ten Commandments, and, that are looked down upon by so many now. But so many still know that there's something special to those records, the Old and New Testament and the other writings too, and that the lower forces try to keep it from us, and they use all kinds of tricks in our heads if we don't learn to recognize them. And I've got the same things, but it takes on a special significance when the next level information is not in the mix. In other words, it's medicine. It really is a term that Ian Doe coined, that giving more mind to the individuals on the planet, more next level mind, substance. It's actually a plasma uh, like substance that that interfaces with the whole atmosphere and provides humans with aspects of it to pull upon. But that's according to their minds, okay? And then at the same time, the genes have created all the mind database And the genes are created by the current experiences modifying the genes and triggered by the genes or turned on and off by the by the genes according to what its history was. And that produces an electromagnetic field that's uh, a database, a memory system, just like computers. 31 minutes away. Whoops. Oh my gosh. Oh, I see. I did get off track. I gotta turn around again. Well, this is, I was coming a different way than I was going before. So I just got too focused on the stream, but I'm not sad about it. It just is what it is. It's taking me longer to get home. It's not a terrible problem. Well, I could have turned around probably over here. There are a lot of cars here. It's a construction zone. But I can get off right here and get back along. I think I need to finish this. There's something else though. Did I get to that last point? Sorry. But oh, smokes. Oh man. If I've misrepresented anything, I would like Sarah to uh, listen to stream. I don't take any pleasure in it. You know, I could be wrong, right? So I don't know how to, think about T and Do not wanting the world to know. I mean, because the website is clear that they were inviting people to go with them in the way that they did. And the court, because there was no evidence that anybody was doing that, and there certainly would be evidence, the way that story was is covered all the time in different ways still, even though it's far less now. So the next level doesn't lie to us about what's required. But the lower forces, they do. They give us their mind and convince us that they're even, well, I know this is possible, and I know we can, uh, I guess I feel like I've experienced how we can have a mindset that's about ourselves. Um, or I guess maybe letting anger at me or Kathy's, expressions and Carloti's, years and years and years of, you know, being fed up with, they're changing their tune, and not in a good way. Like Mark said in Bardo Methodology, that Doe was gonna, there's no sense going back because the same students were gonna be there, and Doe was gonna side with them. So they're choosing to, you know, that's what they have the biggest fault with me about is that they've been telling people that they have a task to do. They were sent out of the class to do a task as if it was an extension of the group, and they're talking about that as 25 years. Mark talked about in that interview with Matt and the other gentleman that was there. But and so okay, the numbers are going down significantly, so that's good in terms of my arrival time. says I'm 23 minutes away. Um, so, well, the reason why the judge couldn't take it seriously, their preliminary injunction against us, um, was because they didn't show irreparable damage. In order to get compensated or damaged financially, which they don't have any of, except for the cost of their lawyers. They want back, of course. And but the other aspect is that they were arguing in the court documents that having somebody else sharing the information makes it available to more people, and that there's a threat that more people could exit their vehicles by their own hand because of. And of course, that's always a possibility. But you're underestimating the next level power to manage the spirits, manage the human kingdom, the humans in the human kingdom. Uh, and that's what the first meeting script was about. And I wish I had that script so I could see their examples. And so maybe that GoFundMe should include making a movie. So I guess we need, what, 10 million maybe? I don't know what we need. Maybe not. Maybe these days uh, we can learn how to do our own artificial intelligence production. And so it won't matter that there's any funding. In fact, funding might get in the way. In fact, it probably would, because you would be you'd have to be held to what you said, I guess, in some way, which is good. I mean, of course, you want to be held to what you said in your proposal. Um, but the problem that happens, I think, is that the lower forces come in once somebody is interested, and they snatch away that mind if the mind hasn't grown strong enough yet to repel it. And that can even take time, a lot of time to repel it, right? Because it could be learning how to shut off the thoughts, which is a muscle. That overcoming addiction helps us learn and cultivate mind muscle that says, yeah, your vehicle, not that you don't want it, uh, no, not that I wish I could have it, but um, I don't want it. Replacing something that you don't want to have in your life anymore with a positive. Every time it comes up, that's exercising that muscle, I believe. I mean, you know, this is all in the audio tape. I mean, if I'm getting off track, I want to know about it. So if anybody ever comes across, I mean, see, it's like I got this, secret weapon, right? Uh, that I have a memory of a bunch of stuff, and I re-stimulated a bunch of memories with, hearing the information after, going that Kathy was stimulating because she wanted to hear everything that she hadn't heard. Anyway, so that was a gift for me to show me the evidence of the things that I've been saying for years and years and years. I'm not saying I got everything right. I don't get it all right. But it doesn't mean that there's not a decent percentage. I know one of my problems is I can be too pleased with myself, and that's what this can sound like. So if it is, that's a thought to shut off. Uh, because I want to be pleasing to Tiendo. Regardless of the ways that I don't measure up. Though made room for individuals like myself. When he said there were three types of people that um, would be in the keeping of the next level at the end of this civilization. And the first were those that were with him and leaving with him. The second group were those that recognized their older member but um, uh, knew they had weaknesses. I think he said it that way. I have to remember it better. I have to refresh my memory to use his words in those kind of circumstances, especially. I'm getting closer. um, so, so Paul says that your faith is in vain if Christ didn't rise from the dead. And so, how can you justify that? It means you don't know that all his teachings were all the full teachings. It's like taking a course in science and um, let's say one thing that was being told to people didn't really happen. And and then all that they said the whole time was of no value when all that they said the whole time was of I guess appealing to a different mindset at the same time of individuals that aren't yet ready um, choose to look to to be curious about because of whatever reasons Theodore's information. And those reasons, I believe, are part of the things that individuals have to overcome. We all have our packets. So Tiendo are about coming out of the religion because we've been subject to the religion. We've been all, I believe, indoctrinated with religions, belief systems. You know, that's one way of describing them. And atheism is a religion too. It's a belief in uh, something different than what the others believe. And the others condemn them, and they laugh at those that are condemning them. One can say, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not condemning Mark and Sarah. Like I said, you know, as far as could be that they've already accomplished a big lesson that they needed to have. But you know, that's maybe that I don't know. That's just something that occurred to me the other day, last week, that I have to look at and think, okay, why wouldn't I accept that? I don't wish any harm to come to them. I know they've dealt with a lot, and I mean, I don't know it the way they know it, but then again, I do have some experience with people's hate for what they fear. Because, you know, the one thing that people would say is different about the next level encounters that, well, I don't know, that there is no fear. Which reminds me of when Tiendo said to us that in about 1978, what if we left before you and then a spacecraft appeared to you? Um, don't be tricked by them. And so they were asked, well, how will we know if we're being tricked? Uh, and they said, you'll know. Because the next level gives individuals, vehicles, a certain amount of knowing. And they can get full of themselves with it because they might know it, but they might not know it as well as they think they know it. Because it's got facets. Maybe I'm making a mush of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can't. We don't know anything. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know anything. Because in degrees, we don't know anything. I mean, it's relative to the human kingdom and the earth and the atmosphere and everything that uh, our consciousness evolves to. You know, okay, I'm down to 6 minutes. So, good night, folks. I guess I'll just have to talk about some things in the future related to this if I think of something that I missed.